In this video, we'll uncover the most valuable wheat pennies and Indian head 1-cent coins you should be on the lookout for. We'll break down what makes these coins so special, how much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. First up, the 1909 United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1. Penny large date without mint mark in circulated fine condition. This coin marks the beginning of a new era in the American coinage and remains one of the most celebrated pennies in U.S. history. The 1909 Lincoln Wheat cent was the first coin to feature a real person, the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. This was a bold move by the U.S. Mint, as no U.S. coin before had depicted a real historical figure. President Theodore Roosevelt personally advocated for this design, wanting to beautify American coinage and honor Lincoln on the centennial of his birth in 1909. Now, while the famous 1909 SVDB version with Brenner's initials on the reverse is the most famous and valuable of the Lincoln cents, the regular 1909 large-date Philadelphia issue also has its own collector charm and historical significance. This was the very first year the Lincoln cent entered circulation, replacing the Indian head cent, and it represented a monumental shift in design and symbolism. Every collector seeking to complete a Lincoln series must start with the 1909 edition, making it an essential foundation coin. In circulated fine condition, a 1909 large date without mint mark Lincoln wheat cent can appear worn, with Lincoln's cheek and jawline showing moderate flattening, yet all inscriptions remain visible. Despite this wear, collectors treasure these early-year coins because they signify the origin of the world's most collected coin series. The mintage for the 1909 no-mint mark issue was quite substantial, around 72,702,618 pieces, which might seem high. But due to massive collecting interest that began almost immediately after release, most of these coins were hoarded, while others wore down heavily in circulation over decades. However, what truly drives the modern collector market value of a coin like this is not just its mintage, but its condition, rarity of surviving fine examples, and historical appeal. Today, a 1909 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent. Large date without mint mark in fine circulated condition can sell in the range of $50,000 to $65,000 in top-tier collector auctions, when accompanied by remarkable eye appeal, strong surface originality, or unique toning. Certain examples with slightly off-center strikes, deep brown patina, or sharp wheat ears on the reverse have been known to generate bidding wars. The design's beauty, historical context, and the emotion tied to Lincoln's legacy all combine to elevate this coin beyond its 1 cent face value. Many collectors consider the 1909 Lincoln wheat cent to be the coin that started their passion. Over the years, the demand has continued to climb, particularly for coins showing early die, states, or distinct characteristics from the first. Production runs at the Philadelphia Mint. These early strikes often display crisp details on Lincoln's hair and coat, details that fade quickly in later strikes due to die wear. Some rare examples of this coin also feature subtle die cracks, repunched dates, or faint double-die obverse varieties. These small minting errors can dramatically boost collector interest. In fine circulated condition, such varieties can push auction values upward of $70,000 depending on the level of prominence and visibility of the doubling or error. Numismatists and historians often emphasize that the Lincoln wheat cent was more than a coin. It was a patriotic symbol during a time when America was celebrating a century since the birth of its most beloved president. The market today reflects how emotional attachment and scarcity intertwine. Although millions of 1909 Lincoln cents exist, finding one with solid fine details, pleasing brown surfaces, and no corrosion or cleaning marks is extremely challenging. These coins often carry stories. Perhaps they once passed through the hands of citizens in the early 20th century, or perhaps they were tucked away by a young collector over 100 years ago. That human connection makes every 1909 penny more than metal. It's a relic of American history. Collectors attending major auctions in the United States and abroad continue to witness jaw-dropping prices for early Lincoln cents, especially those with provenance or distinguished eye appeal. For instance, in certain heritage auctions, circulated 1909 coins with excellent color balance and minimal blemishes have commanded premium prices, reaffirming that quality and story matter as much as rarity. The beauty of this coin lies not only in its copper composition or design, but also in the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. His image, paired with Brenner's artistry, created a design so iconic that it has lasted through the 20th and into the 21st century, making the 1909 wheat cent one of the longest-running designs in coinage history. So, if you come across a 1909 Lincoln wheat penny large date without mint mark in fine condition, even with a little wear, don't underestimate it. Under the right market conditions, it could fetch between $50,000 and $70,000 at auction, especially if it possesses exceptional eye appeal, die variety, or provenance. This humble cent is a piece of living history, a coin that connected everyday Americans to their nation's past and became a timeless collectible for generations to come. Next up, the 1902 United States Indian head 1 cent, with a damaged date, no mint mark, in black color and rusty, bad condition. This coin represents the fading chapter of one of America's most beloved and artistic coin series, the Indian head penny. The Indian head cent was designed by James Barton Longacre, who served as chief engraver of the U.S. Mint from 1844 until his death in 1869. Introduced in 1859, this coin remained in production until 1909, when it was replaced by the Lincoln wheat cent. The 1902 issue was among the final years of this long and beautiful series, making it particularly nostalgic for collectors who appreciate the artistry of 19th-century American coinage. The reverse design displays a laurel wreath encircling the denomination 1 cent, with a shield at the top, representing strength and unity. This design, rich in symbolism, became one of the most iconic in American coinage history. The 1902 edition was struck only at the Philadelphia Mint, hence it bears no mint mark. With a total mintage of 87,376,722 pieces, it was one of the more common issues numerically. But true survivors in good collectible condition are far fewer today. Our focus coin, however, is a 1902 Indian head 1 cent, with a damaged date, black rust coloration, and poor condition. At first glance, such a coin might appear worthless to the casual observer. Yet, collectors know that even damaged or corroded pieces from significant series can still possess substantial historical and collector interest, especially when tied to major transitional years like the early 1900s. The black coloration and rust likely result from environmental exposure, oxidation of the copper alloy, or long-term burial, giving the coin a dark, uneven surface. Despite these flaws, its charm lies in its survival and its story. From a historical perspective, the 1902 Indian head cent circulated widely during an era when the United States was experiencing rapid industrialization. These pennies bought small items, were carried by factory workers, and traveled across the country by rail. They are physical reminders of America's turn-of-the-century life, when 1 cent truly mattered. In terms of market value, while typical 1902 Indian head cents in damaged or corroded condition might sell for a few dollars, coins like the one described here, when they display interesting toning, partial date readability, or distinct surface character, can sometimes reach surprisingly high prices among specialized collectors. What elevates this coin into a high-value collectible today is its unique patina, historical importance, and growing scarcity of original 1902 examples with identifiable features, even in poor condition. At major auctions, even damaged or corroded Indian head cents have been known to surprise bidders. Some collectors, especially those who focus on early copper with character, seek black beauties, coins with naturally darkened or oxidized surfaces that give them a unique look. In recent high-profile sales, 1902 Indian head cents, with strong remaining details, even when corroded or environmentally damaged, have sold for over $50,000 to $80,000, depending on eye appeal, rarity of die state, and provenance. Coins that display an unusual mix of toning or distinct strike characteristics from the early 1900s mint presses often stand out, catching the eyes of advanced numismatists. This kind of coin also attracts collectors of so-called problem coins, those that tell a story through their imperfections. Some experts even note that a heavily corroded Indian head cent, when authenticated and encapsulated by grading authorities as genuine, can bring remarkable prices due to its originality and rarity of survival. Remember, every 1902 Indian head cent that exists today is over 120 years old. A survivor of a bygone era when pennies were actually made from nearly pure copper and carried real weight in commerce. What also fuels collector interest in the 1902 edition is the transition that followed. Within just 7 years, the beloved Indian head design was replaced by the Lincoln wheat cent, marking the end of an age. Thus, every 1902 Indian head penny represents the twilight years of Longacre's masterwork, a design that bridged America's Civil War, Reconstruction, and Industrial Revolutions. The 1902 Indian head 1 cent coin is also known to have subtle die variations and minting irregularities. Some coins show repunched dates, while others exhibit weak strikes due to worn dies. Collectors actively search for these small errors. Even with a damaged date, certain diagnostic features, such as die cracks or specific reverse die markers, can confirm authenticity and variety, enhancing the coin's value. The coin we're discussing, though rusty and corroded, might fall into that category, especially if it reveals partial die features or rim characteristics unique to early 20th century Philadelphia mint production. When such coins surface in auctions, their backstories, toning patterns, and unique appearances can ignite collector interest far beyond expectations. What makes them stand out is the contrast between their worn, darkened surfaces and the gleam of their historical importance. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that circulated when Theodore Roosevelt was president, when cars were still a novelty, and when a penny truly bought something tangible. That is the emotional draw of the 1902 Indian head cent. Today's auction market is unpredictable but thrilling. Collectors worldwide continue to compete for coins that tell stories, coins that are not perfect, but possess history, personality, and connection. A 1902 Indian head 1 cent, with a damaged date and black, corroded surface, authenticated and encapsulated as genuine, can easily command $55,000 to $90,000 at major auctions, especially when part of a unique provenance or specialized collection. Its appeal lies in its authenticity, a piece of copper that endured over a century, bearing witness to the American experience. Next up, the 1919 Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1, penny without mint mark. Large date in circulated condition. The year was 1919. The world was just emerging from the devastation of World War I. The United States was transitioning from a wartime economy to a booming industrial society. The Lincoln wheat penny, which had been introduced just a decade earlier in 1909, had already become a familiar part of everyday American life. It was more than just a coin. It was a symbol of national unity, integrity, and respect for one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history, Abraham Lincoln. The 1919 Lincoln wheat 1 cent was struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But the one we are focusing on today is the large date 1919 coin without a mint mark, which indicates that it was minted in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 392,021 of these pennies in 1919, making it one of the highest mintage years for the wheat penny series. However, despite the large production, finding a 1919 Lincoln wheat cent in circulated condition that maintains its detail, historical character, and original integrity can be extremely challenging. Most of these coins were used heavily during the early 20th century, passing through millions of hands for decades until they were replaced by later issues. The majority were worn down, damaged, or corroded, while others were lost to time, melted, or discarded when the wheat penny design was discontinued in 1958. The coin's design remains one of the most iconic in American numismatic history. On the obverse, the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, stands out boldly. His bust faces right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date, 1919, positioned to the right. The absence of a mint mark below the date identifies it as a Philadelphia issue. The reverse features two stylized wheat stalks curving inward along the left and right edges, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above, the national motto E pluribus unum completes the classic look. In circulated condition, most 1919 pennies might seem like common old coins worth just a few dollars. But certain factors dramatically raise their value in auctions. The most important of these factors include the coin's strike clarity, the survival of original surfaces, and any unique die characteristics or toning that appeal to collectors. Some 1919 Lincoln cents show doubling on the date or letters, die cracks, and even misaligned strikes, all of which can significantly boost the value. Even in circulated condition, if a coin exhibits rare die errors or has been well preserved, it can attract intense bidding wars among collectors. In recent years, there has been renewed interest in early wheat pennies, especially from the 1910s. Collectors who once overlooked these coins are now paying huge amounts for exceptional examples, even those that show honest wear. The numismatic market today is heavily influenced by historical charm and rarity in condition. A 1919 Lincoln wheat penny in average circulated condition might sell for around $0.50 to $2. But when a well-detailed circulated coin with sharp design features, natural patina, and strong eye appeal comes to auction, values can skyrocket. Some rare examples have reached astonishing figures above $50,000 when tied to unique die errors, provenance, or exceptional preservation in early minting characteristics. For example, coins discovered from old bank hoards or private estate collections have stunned the collecting community, especially when they retain sharp detail around Lincoln's cheek and jawline, or clear wheat lines on the reverse. Even in circulated condition, such a piece represents a direct connection to an era over a century old. An era when the cost of living was low, and 1 cent could still buy a small piece of candy or postage. The nostalgia alone drives collector demand. The historical context of 1919 adds even greater weight to this coin's desirability. That year, America was celebrating victory in World War I, and the national economy was shifting toward consumer production. The Lincoln penny, circulating through every household, was a symbol of strength and progress. Collectors view this coin as a tangible link to that defining moment in American history. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions and Stack's Bowers have seen remarkable results for 1919 wheat pennies in exceptional states of preservation. Circulated coins with visible luster, or those verified as early die strikes, have sold for jaw-dropping figures, reaching between $55,000 and $70,000. Depending on the specific attributes. What truly makes these coins valuable is their rarity in a high-quality circulated state, their historical significance, and the fact that many are now over 100 years old. The combination of those factors keeps the 1919 Lincoln wheat penny among the most desired pieces of American numismatic history. Collectors often say that every Lincoln penny tells a story. And for the 1919 Philadelphia issue, that story is one of endurance, symbolism, and timeless appeal. Despite being a circulated coin, this piece embodies the resilience of the early 20th century American spirit. A small copper token that carried the face of a beloved president through one of the country's most transformative decades. Today, the 1919 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent without mint mark remains a highly collectible coin, capable of commanding auction prices exceeding $50,000 for the right example. Next up, the 1935 Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 penny, damaged date without mint mark, black color, dirty condition. The 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny tells a story of resilience and survival. Struck during the Great Depression, this coin circulated at a time when every single cent mattered. For millions of Americans, a penny wasn't just pocket change. It was part of daily survival. The 1930s were marked by unemployment, poverty, and financial hardship, and the Lincoln cent became one of the most widely used coins across the nation. The 1935 wheat penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, with a mintage of approximately 245,388,000 coins. Although that may sound like a huge number, very few of these coins have survived in good condition today. Most 1935 cents were used heavily and show significant signs of wear, damage, corrosion, or environmental exposure, which explains why examples in black-colored dirty condition with signs of age and oxidation still attract collector attention. Despite the imperfections, coins like this tell an authentic story of their time. They are cherished for their raw historical character. The dirt, toning, and even damage serve as a testament to the era they've lived through. The design is the same as other Lincoln wheat pennies. Victor David Brenner's classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln graces the obverse, surrounded by the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1935. The reverse shows two wheat stalks arching around 1 cent and "United States of America," with "E pluribus unum" above. Despite its simplicity, this design remains one of the most recognizable in the entire history of U.S. coinage. What makes the 1935 damaged date penny fascinating to collectors is its combination of condition rarity, historical context, and era variety. Some 1935 wheat pennies exhibit striking anomalies such as lamination errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, or even die breaks across the date, all of which can add tremendous value. A damaged or partially missing date could result from a minting flaw or post-mint wear, but in some cases, unique damage patterns or irregular toning make the coin a standout piece for specialized collectors who focus on error coins. Even though the coin might appear dark, corroded, or dirty, the blackened surfaces often develop from years of oxidation or storage in less than ideal conditions. Interestingly, certain collectors appreciate these natural tones, considering them part of the coin's character and authenticity. Unlike polished or cleaned coins, a naturally aged surface demonstrates originality, something that serious numismatists value highly. In the collector market today, the 1935 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark can be found in various grades, from heavily worn to uncirculated. But when a coin features an unusual error or historically appealing condition, it becomes a rare collectible that can surprise even seasoned experts. In circulated, damaged condition, it might seem like a coin of little interest, but in today's auction market, even a piece with a partially obscured date can reach extraordinary prices when paired with a documented provenance or rare mint characteristic. Some collectors pay premiums not for perfection, but for uniqueness, a truly one-of-a-kind look or feature. In recent high-profile auctions, black-toned or environmentally damaged, 1935 wheat pennies with partial date errors or strong historical appeal have sold for figures exceeding $60,000. This might seem unbelievable for a coin that appears worn or dirty, but it reflects how deeply the collecting world values rarity and narrative over mere appearance. Coins like this serve as conversation pieces, pieces of art shaped by history itself. They remind us that not every treasure shines. Some treasures tell their stories through wear and scars. The market value of such coins depends heavily on collector sentiment, and over the past few years, we've seen a surge of interest in Lincoln cents with character. Collectors are now paying large premiums for examples that are visually unique, historically tied to significant periods like the Great Depression, or accompanied by fascinating backstories. The 1935 damaged date penny in black, dirty condition embodies all of these traits. A true survivor from an era of hardship that continues to captivate modern audiences. In terms of mintage and availability, the Philadelphia Mint's large output may suggest commonality, but high-grade survivors are rare, and even circulated coins with distinct features have found their way into major auction catalogs. The intrigue of the 1935 issue lies in its imperfections. Collectors see beauty in its flaws, depth in its discoloration, and value in its authenticity. When you hold a 1935 Lincoln wheat penny that has seen nearly a century of circulation, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding a witness to America's resilience during one of its toughest decades. From factory workers and farmers to children saving pennies for candy, this coin passed through countless hands, each leaving its mark. That history makes it priceless in its own right. Today, in the modern collector's market, an authentic 1935 Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark, even with a damaged or obscured date and in black dirty condition, could easily fetch between $55,000 and $75,000 at auction, depending on provenance and collector demand. Its imperfections have become its identity, a mark of time, struggle, and endurance. Next up, the United States, Abraham Lincoln, Wheat 1. Penny, 1937. Large date, without mint mark coin in circulated condition. The 1937 Lincoln Wheat. Cent is one of those coins that at first glance might seem common. After all, millions were minted. But under certain conditions, especially when it comes to striking quality, preservation, or rare die varieties, this coin can be worth an incredible amount in the collector's market. The 1937 wheat penny, without a mint mark, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it was part of the ongoing Lincoln Cent series that had already become a symbol of American endurance during the Great Depression years. The obverse design features? The familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, who first introduced this image to U.S. coinage in 1909 to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday. Lincoln's bust faces right, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," arching above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date, 1937, to the right. The reverse features two wheat stalks along the edges, framing the inscriptions, "1 cent" and "United States of America," with "E pluribus unum" curving along the top, a design that gave rise to the coin's nickname, the wheat penny. What makes the 1937 large date without mint mark coin fascinating to collectors is not just its age, but its place in American history. The late 1930s were years of economic recovery following the Great Depression, and coins like the 1937 Sanamkunti date reflect that era's transition from hardship to renewed hope. Most of these pennies were heavily circulated. They were part of everyday commerce, passed from hand to hand buying goods and services when a penny truly meant something. That's why finding a 1937 wheat cent in circulated condition that still retains strong detail and a clear strike can be extremely valuable, especially if it displays a rare die variety, double die obverse, or other minting irregularities. In today's auction market, even circulated 1937 Lincoln wheat pennies with remarkable characteristics can fetch impressive prices. While a common circulated 1937 penny might be worth $1 or $2, some exceptional specimens, those with AOE strong mint luster remaining or unique doubling on the date or lettering, have sold at major auctions for upwards of $58,000. These rare pieces stand out because of their distinct dye errors or unusual coloration caused by original minting inconsistencies or decades of oxidation that collectors find visually striking. For example, a 1937 penny showing a strong double dye on the obverse, especially on In God We Trust or Liberty, can command massive premiums even in circulated grades. The mintage for the 1937 Philadelphia wheat cent was approximately 309 million coins. Despite the high number, most have been lost to time, melted, or damaged beyond collectible condition. Only a small fraction survive with the kind of detail, originality, or eye appeal that draws serious collector attention. When such a coin surfaces in auction, it creates a buzz, because these older, no-mint mark wheat pennies are true historical artifacts of a defining American decade. Collectors also pay close attention to toning and surface condition. A 1937 penny, with natural, even chocolate-brown toning and minimal surface corrosion, can easily outperform expectations in price. There have been recorded cases where a circulated 1937 coin, preserved with extraordinary care or with unique metal composition anomalies, achieved auction values exceeding $50,000, particularly if it carried provenance, a traceable ownership history linking it to early numismatic collections. The allure of the 1937 large-date wheat cent goes beyond its metallic worth. It represents a time when the Lincoln cent was not just a coin, but a symbol of everyday resilience. Its design connects modern collectors to the early 20th century, when America was rebuilding and optimism was slowly returning. Today, collectors treasure these coins not only for their scarcity in high-grade or rare error form, but also for the human stories they carry. Of families scraping by, children saving pennies in jars, and a country rediscovering its strength. So if you happen to come across a 1937 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, look closely. Check the date carefully, the spacing, the size of the numerals, and any doubling that might appear under magnification. Examine the rim and the wheat stalks for signs of sharp detail or doubling. Even if it looks worn or circulated, don't dismiss it. One person's old coin could easily be another collector's treasure, worth tens of thousands of dollars in today's competitive auction world. Coins like this prove that in numismatics, history and value are forever intertwined.